Welcome, Anisha, to Champagne and Conversations. How are you?
Hey, how are you? I haven't heard that song in a while. I feel like I'm outside.
Yes, Champagne Life. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. And you actually are our last guest of 2022.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Anisha Jacko with us this evening. She is an author, she is a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, an educator, and I can continue to go on and on. But we are so excited to have her on this evening to share with us Audacity to Speak, which is her new book, and just to talk more about education, entrepreneurship, and all those amazing things, and even how she got to this point, which you guys will love, especially since we like to tap into 90s and all that great stuff. So, welcome again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So I have to say, as reading your book, and guys, the book is Audacity to Speak. Hopefully, you can see that. And it's really a cool read. It's easy for those that don't have a lot of time to read. So I do appreciate that. Real clear, real easy. But it's a lot of points in here that work with what we're doing going out of 22 into a new year, becoming a new us, all of that great stuff. One thing that I really, really like is the fact that they say the power of life is in conversation. Yay! So, in saying that, is there a favorite line that you have in the book?
Oh my goodness. That's so funny you said that because I think when I think about your question, I actually had the opportunity to do like a read aloud with my students at
Mm-hmm.
school.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to kind of see me like sitting and talking about the muted scholar, I know a lot of my story resonated with them. And
Sure.
so I spoke about just imagining being in spaces and places that don't cultivate young scholars. And I think that's my favorite part because I took a part of me that I never really talked about. And it's like my whole thinking is like now public.
Yeah, that's right. And speaking to that, let's talk about how you got to this point of even writing this book.
Well, it actually started from me being in a place that was very uncertain. It was 2020. Think about where we were at. Everyone was shut down. I found a community, OSG, off school grounds. And I have to say, first, you have to find yourself a mentor. Dennis McKeezy, off school grounds, my CFG group. We used to meet on Zoom as principals every Thursday. We still do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was one day, there was a prayer. Pastor Cologne, he prayed for us. And he said the audacity to speak. And he said audacity of an Anisha. I'm just like, what? Like, and you know how you have your, you hear a prayer and you're just like in tears. And I met with Dean and Dennis soon after in a meeting, and it changed my life. Like an hour and a half, 2 hour meeting, just thinking about, well, what do you dream about? And I couldn't answer that question. And so he told me, go write, start writing. July, I went by the water, went by myself, and just wrote like 60 pages off the water for the weekend. And that's where it began. So it took about 2 years to get it started, but it started with a push, and I'm so grateful to Pastor Cologne, Dennis McKeezy, and Dame Dash for giving me that opportunity. And then I can't forget, Lays Elliott. You might not know this, but I always wanted to be a DJ.
Did
And
you?
so, yes, I always wanted to be a DJ.
Really?
So to have this group of community during a time when we were so uncertain whether or not we were going to live, right? To like birth something that has been like life-changing. Every day it's something new. But it started 2 years ago, just from a prayer and a push.
And COVID. Yes.
Right.
In the midst
pandemic.
of COVID. Yes, the pandemic. Yep. Let's go back to, well, we're going to definitely tap into you wanting to be a DJ. But before that, you spoke of dreams. Now, dreaming, I think that that's interesting because dreaming to me is something that has not taken place in a long time. And guys, we did have the opportunity to have a behind the scenes conversation. So I will try to go back and tap into some of what Anisha and I talked about before us getting on this live so that you can know the backstory. But Anisha, if you don't mind, you did share with me that, and it's in the book, that you had this thing about having conversations in school at the wrong time, especially as young people. And I had that same situation where the teacher would say, oh, you're talking too much. And then we would get our report cards and it would say needs improvement. So we share that. And so that you shared is kind of the reason why you felt like living your truth was to start claiming the fact that you were ready to speak, having the strength, the confidence, the audacity, in essence, to speak. So now, from the dreaming perspective, if we tap into our young selves, because that's in essence where that dreaming starts, is the young self. What do you feel is a thing that may stop us from dreaming along the way?
I think what stops us is that we don't believe that it can actually happen.
Okay, and I believe that life gets in the way.
But that's what life, when you're lifing, is when it gets built, right? It's like when you're on the beach and you're creating a sandcastle, you have to plan out, okay, the line is going to go up to here. So I'm going to start right here, but you want to be close enough to the water because that's how you build. So you need some adversity. You need some, I don't want to say some trauma, but in order to have a testimony, you need a test.
And you need strength, I think. to be able to
Absolutely.
stay focused on what it is that you want, to not let life you, because that's sometimes the shift in terms of what's happening. Now, from the scientist perspective, they say that there's layers to us in sleeping, because I've really been into this a lot to figure out where the dreaming happens. And there's a layer that you have to really go to in order to be able to rest enough to sleep. So I've been silently
Mm.
on that quest to get into that level where you can dream. I'm not certain as to how many levels you have to go down, but I listen
Yeah,
to like an app and do that. So are you familiar with that part?
absolutely. From psychology, you're talking about the rapid eye movement. And
Okay.
so there's different phases of that. And so that's why it's good to get at least 8 to 9. See, that's why like you write them like psychology. That's right. Hold on. But 8 to 9 hours of sleep, you need your body to recalibrate and to get yourself going. And that's why getting enough sleep is important. But then also starting your day out, I do the miracle morning, and it's every day practicing silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise. I'm working on that. Reading and scribing every day,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
literally those practices starting out every morning
Yeah.
helped me to journal,
Yeah.
and it helped me to complete my book. So like even on my
Yeah.
phone, I have my notes, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I text myself every minute. Like I have a text that says Anisha, and I say, I'm constantly thinking, but
Talking to yourself. Uh-huh.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
that's one of the tricks, making sure you're hydrated before you go to sleep. And then also like writing down what's on your mind so that you can rest.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking to the hydration, now I do that. And then I read yesterday that it said you're supposed to not drink 2 hours before you sleep. And I was like, well, what is that about? Because, I don't know what that is. 3 hours of food and 2 hours for sleep. And I say, everything has changed so much as we become adults. When we were kids, when we were teenagers, we would eat until we just fell out. It was just like that thing. Now everything is just like some sequential order and some sort of like
Absolutely.
process. But in terms of affirmations, what's one affirmation that you do in the morning?
I can do hard things.
You can do hard things. Okay.
I can do hard things. And I'm ready and committed to making this the best year yet.
I can do hard things and I'm ready and committed to make this the
This,
best year yet.
that's it.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't really give you an affirmation that I would say. But I do appreciate Mary J for giving us Good Morning Gorgeous.
Right.
Because as I was listening this morning to The Light We Carry, Miss Obama's book, she was speaking of a friend of hers, a gentleman that
Mm.
would get up in the morning and say, "Hey, you, how are you doing today?" Like, rallying himself up for the day. And you look great, because she was saying a lot of us don't always face our mirror every morning. And she's right, because sometimes I'm just like washing my face, but I don't even look up at the mirror until I start to get ready for the day. So I think that good morning gorgeous is a great affirmation. So thank you, Mary J, for that.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, audacity to speak is also how you speak to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so often people displace what they're going through onto you. And so
Yeah.
you have to kind of protect yourself and your peace and
Yeah.
remind yourself around how important and necessary you are.
Yeah.
But
No,
I'm
and
not like an affirmation person
uh-huh.
either, like because it's about what work are you going to put in to make it happen,
Make it happen.
right? And that's why putting yourself around people, like think about it, I didn't know you before this, right? But it's about forming communities and taking risks sometimes.
And we also have a beautiful word that we love now called alignment. And I think that when those
Yes.
things begin to happen, then it all just flows. And you begin to get this energy of And I mean, I take away from your book, but I will now go into part of it where you start to speak about transactional and transformation
Yeah.
exchange. So now that we're there, I believe that that's a transactional situation, if I'm not mistaken, because we're giving to one another. We're feeding positivity back and forth. So you speak of those two terms. Let's talk about that.
Well, I think transactional is simply you get it's give and take,
Yeah.
but it doesn't kind of build. And I think when you think of transformation, it's about like transportation, right? It's many different things in order to make something bigger. And so my conversation with you will make those connecting dots for something else that you've been dreaming about. And so if you are aware that every interaction with someone is going to get you closer to your dream or teaching you something about yourself you need to know. I think that that's helpful. So often I kind of changed my mindset recently. It's like if I see something in someone else, I'm like, oh, dip. They're mirroring something I might not like in myself.
Oh, wow.
So I need to be aware of if this person is getting on my nerves, there's something that is connected that I need to check too.
Hmm. Okay. Now you probably recognize that a lot because you're dealing with so many people all day long, especially young people. That's from your education perspective. So let's talk about that. You graduated from Hampton University. Shout out to Virginia.
HU.
HU, and you are a Delta. And
Yes.
so you have been in the education space and you were, champion your way to becoming a psychologist. So you have all of those things in your wheelhouse. But now talking about that mirroring effect, you have young people, right? So those young people are very impressionable. And I guess that's the
Absolutely.
quickest way for you to see that mirror effect. So let's talk about that. How do you experience that throughout the course of a day?
Well, I think teaming up with, I think that's the other piece. You can't do this work alone. You have to have a coach. And I think one of the things, my coach, Dennis, is very hard on me, but he'll say something and I'll get it maybe like 2 weeks later. Right. And then I've teamed up with Dr. Jill. In the back, you have the bio codes.
Yes, I was going to
I,
ask you about that.
I wanted people to have what I've been using because it's like when someone offers you something, instead of getting all like worked up, just saying, thank you. Thank you for that. And not always being quick to give an answer.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm a work in progress.
So now, is that what you do with the exchange with the children? If they give you something back that you're not quite, you give them a minute to, kind of wait on your response, or how is it working with your exchange in your school?
You know what? That's fascinating question because I don't have those kind of interactions with my students. When my students come into my office, they do the affirmations in the morning. When they come to my office, they give me a shout out. It's not a place of detention. And
Right.
I think that's the biggest shift for me. This is
Yeah.
not the place where you're going to get um traumatized.
Yeah. Or
You're going to get love.
institutionalized. Yeah.
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 You're going to
That's
get
and that's
loved in my
good.
office. I have tangerines in my office. You come and get an orange or a banana, some fruit.
Orange. Yes.
Like
That's
that's
so
what you're going to
cool.
get when you come to me. You're not going to
Yes.
get yelled at. Now there are some conversations with the parents we have, but for the most part, I think anytime when you're dealing with other people, you always have to be aware of that they're going through something that you have no clue about.
Uh-huh.
And they're always looking for a safe place to land.
Sure. Sure.
And understanding that, I'm aware. And I think it's helpful to guard ourselves and to offer those three things that I talk about in the book is the ego, humor, and highlight, right? And making someone feel better when they leave me. And I
That's
think
such
that's what
important.
that's to me is super important.
super important. And that point I have highlighted as you allow for people to feel better or are better when they leave you. I think that's something
Yeah.
that's very monumental because I say that as well. When you come around me, when you leave, you've left better than you come. And I pride myself in that situation. Of course, that's in a different light, not education, but I'm just saying it to say I do understand that. And I do think that that's super dope. And then going back to you in your office, I think it's cool when kids, and you're in New York City, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's super dope when kids can come and see you and they see you. They see black or brown, beautiful woman about her business, got it all together, but still giving the love, still giving the affirmations. And it's a balance, like you giving all of that. I mean, because like when we were growing up, if we had that type of school, it was more like an auntie or a grandmother kind of look.
Yeah. It was more like church.
Yeah. Yeah. And even though it was
Hmm.
taking a village for sure, but it was different. And I think now when they can come and see someone smart and can articulate and carry the school and still be loving and on that level, it gives them some hope. It gives them like, okay, I
Yeah.
can do this because we know what from the younger years is the formative
The
years, not
formative years. Yep.
formative years. Yeah. So that's
And
good for them.
but that's interesting you say that because so many parents, when I do meet with them, they anticipate meeting a principal like what you said.
Hmm.
And after they leave me, they're like, wow, like this was
Yeah.
a really good experience.
Yeah, you're super cool. Yeah. And I think that makes it easier to be
Yeah.
able to transition from, you know, parent teacher conference or whatever it may be to actually saying there's family here, there's village, there's, there's some sort of camaraderie where we can kind of get through this, especially if there's a child that's having some
Hmm.
concern or issue. And I think your psychology part helps too. I
For
think,
sure.
yeah. Because you can dissect it so much easier and break it down. So kudos to you. Congratulations to you. You are doing an amazing job as a principal.
Thank you.
And now that you have the book under, in way. Now let's talk about your entrepreneur side. So you say the name of your company is,
The results are in.
yes, I love it. I think that's
So
so cool.
it's called a train and it's an acronym train, TRAIN. I'm like, oh, I have to spell. But it's fascinating. And I didn't share this at first, but everything for me started once I answered my call to preach. And I spoke to my pastor, Reverend Elaine, and this was like 2021. And literally, since that moment, everything kind of like changed in my life. And so, what's significant about that is prior to 2020, in 2019, in the fall, I was taking classes once a week for practicing writing my sermons. And when the pandemic hit, we had to move our classes online.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't know whether I had COVID or not. So I had to take a test. And I was so afraid because at the time, it's early 2020, people like, if you get COVID, you're not going to live. And then I have 2 kids, I have a family, and I'm sitting there asking my kids, if I'm not here, who do you want to live with? Like having these conversations. But that's where we got, I met with my CFG group and thinking about a name after talking with Dame and Dennis, like I needed a company. That was part of like a dream. Like you need a company. I'm like, okay, I need a company. And so the results to end was birthed out of me building my faith in God and understanding it didn't matter what the test was. I was here for a reason and I'm necessary. Right. And so that's what the results are in. It's about putting in the work to get the results.
So dope.
And so that's that's where it came from.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating. It's the title of a sermon.
It's the title of a sermon, and it's actually your dream.
Yeah.
So that I think all of that once again is in alignment.
Yes.
And so, taking us there, are you set up to do another book? Are you looking to do anything additional?
Oh my goodness. Well, I am talking to my financial advisor, Denise McKeezy, and I have to get my business in order
Okay.
because I'm getting so many calls for consulting, for book talks, and it makes sense. So,
Yeah.
what I would say, yes to a series,
Yeah.
yes to putting myself out there. I have audacitytospeak.com, which is my website.
Mhm.
And what I love about the website, thank you to Nate, um, an amazing web designer. I have literally anybody who has helped me on this journey who has a business, you can go onto audacityspeak.com and you can find them too. So like my pictures by, Knox Photography, my outfits from the Ivy Room in Atlanta, like all these like artistry, Rebirth, who did my makeup. Like I wanted to highlight every single person who has
Yeah.
poured into this journey.
Yeah.
So
That's very
I would
cool.
say yes to all of that.
Yes. So now I know you can't necessarily speak on the clients that you're working with, but you do have a relationship you have mentioned with Dame Dash, and we know
Hmm.
Dame Dash from so many entrepreneur ventures and 90s hip hop and so on and so forth. So the empire that he built with the love Jay-Z and so on and so forth. So now how has that been working with him, especially knowing all of the things that he has actually accomplished over his tenure, and now you're coming into this phase of just entering into business, actually more in education, definitely a spiritual background, but now you've landed
For
into,
sure.
yeah, this entrepreneur thing. So how has that been?
I mean, it's to me, it's proof in the purpose. As educators, we obviously don't do it to be rich. We're doing it because that's our calling. And Dame is just an example of one of the reasons of why it's so important to have relationships with families.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally listened to all of us, giving him advice on not yelling and how to interact with people and raising children.
Mm-hmm.
And he literally has followed the whole formula. And his youngest son is like phenomenal. He's talking. He has his own affirmation. I am important, and he's two. And so whether it's Dame or, one of my other families around the corner from my school, there's something special that happens when there's communication between school and families.
Sure. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to figure it out. We don't have a manual,
No. Right.
right?
Right.
And so to think about the curriculum that we're working on, to think about, we were in the pandemic. People could have been depressed,
They were. Yes.
right?
Uh-huh.
So this was our chance to kind of comfort, a lot of
Yeah.
women that were expecting. I actually, when Rocky had the baby, I put together like a mom's group just to encourage them because they were trapped in the house. And I'm
Sure.
like, okay, do this to the wall, create your environment, sing these
Yes.
songs. And so literally what we've done together has been created into a curriculum.
Super dope. And please share your social media as well as the website for the Apple Fish.
Yes. So I'm Principal Jacko on Instagram, and it's Applefish Kids. You can see that on YouTube, or you can follow Raquel Horn or Dusko Poppington on Instagram.
Let's go.
And
Yeah.
then you can see I have Jacko's School, and it's literally me just doing the alphabet.
So cool.
But
I
those are
mean,
like the key to reading.
yeah,
My goal is that all of our students are reading proficiently.
yes. Yeah, yeah. Professionally.
Professionally and proficient, right?
Okay.
So when you give a student, a child, the power to read, they can speak.
Yes. Yes.
It's life changing.
Yes.
And so that's also writing.
That's so cool. Now, as it relates to you back in terms of your plan for 23, and you've mentioned that you're going to be attending some conferences, book conferences, tours, and that, is there a specific place and topic that you will be taking part in? Like, is there a place that you want to speak? And is there a specific topic that you want to engage in?
Well, there's multiple things happening. There will be an OSG leadership conference in March
Okay.
17th and 18th. So you can follow Off School Grounds, the official Off School Grounds. In addition to that, my sorority, we always do like a May week activity. So I've been asked to do some arts and letters activities. Um, for February, I've been asked to do some roundtables from new authors. And January is also a month where we do community service with our Jack and Jill group.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to inspiring teens of the cosmos with meaningful ways of being true leaders in our community.
Sure, sure. It definitely starts with them. I think that's so, so cool, in terms of you actually getting in position as well as still servicing the community. That's obviously part of
Yeah.
your purpose. And it doesn't seem like work at that point when you are really tapping into that. Now, tying in that with your spiritual side, as you mentioned, you became more involved in the church, and I don't want to spoil it. So I want to say, I'll let you share how involved you became within the church family, but that's another, I guess, part of the multi hyphenated description of you.
I
So
literally
let's
go
talk
to
about that.
school. Yeah, so I'm in school now for my doctorate. That's in executive leadership. So that's
Congratulations on
twice a
that.
month. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
But I don't talk about that because that's a journey. You got to tuck your head in and just work. um, but also I'm in seminary as well. And so each semester I have to earn a certain amount of credits. So I'm licensed to preach. And my goal is to become an ordained clergy of the AME church. So
So cool.
that's my
So
goal.
cool. Yes, so cool. And now, where would you find, this is my 23 word, but where do you find the balance for all of this?
Honestly, like I told you, the savers, the silence, the affirmation, visualization, exercise, working on that, reading and scribing, literally, like right now, I'm thinking about our conversation and I'm thinking about a sermon, right? And then what I'm going to do next is study the word and something's going to come up to me, right? And then it's going to teach me a lesson because I always pray to be like Solomon with discernment and wisdom. And so something's going to happen where it's going to make sense like, oh, okay, God, thank you. Because I needed that right now. So literally, I'm living a life of congruence. Like it all makes sense, if that makes sense. So it looks like I'm all over the place, but literally, it's an alignment.
It's alignment. That's one of my favorite words. It's alignment. And I think it should be the next series of your book. I will say that. We did talk about it. I think that I can see that as the next one, for sure. But I do believe that that is what it is, alignment. And you mentioned purpose and being able to tap into that. And I think so many of us during the time that we were home, during the pandemic, we were able to kind of tap into something. If it was not 100%, we were able to lean towards
Yeah.
where we were going, what we should be doing, and just making it make more sense than what we thought from the beginning. So, with that being said, now you're into a flow because every part of what you're doing is interlocking, and you call it kingdom.
Kingdom building.
Yes.
Yes.
You call it kingdom building, and I think that's such a dope term in terms of and a conversation. That's an amazing speech and conversation as I'm thinking about it. Kingdom building for those that would call it something else.
Yeah.
I think that with you
I'm
saying
writing
that.
that down.
Yes, because last evening, guys, we were having the conversation and I was sharing with her the same thing. Certain things were interlocking and I was trying to figure it out, but not all of it had gone to the next step. And
Right.
that was her word. She says, "Well, you're kingdom building." And I was like, "Oh, that made me think of Legos." I love that. I love the application for that. So now where you are today, what would you tell your younger self? Would you have really visualized that this is where you would be today or what?
I would tell my younger self to pay attention to your credit.
Pay attention to the credit.
That's
Okay.
it. Because life is going to life and we're going to
It's
figure
gonna
it out.
life. It's
Life
gonna
is
life.
lifing.
Life is lifing.
Life is lifing. And no, what I would tell my younger self and Elena Aguilar, she is an amazing work around Bright Morning. And
Uh-huh.
she taught me that every conversation counts. But she asked me, what would I say to my younger self and my 100-year-old self? And I was like, wow. That's actually on a podcast that I did that you can find on my website. And what I would tell my younger self is to use your voice. Use your voice,
Yeah.
and have fun, because as a cheerleader in high school, that was fun,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
you were
On
a
the
cheerleader
sideline.
too.
Yep.
Hello, sir. Welcome to Champagne and Conversations, Mr. Dash. Good to see you, sir. We can't
You're
hear
on
you.
mute.
We're giving you permission to unmute.
What's that? Thank you. What's happening? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Welcome to Champagne and Conversations. How are you? Cheers
Oh,
to you.
wait. Jocko's drinking champagne? Where's that?
No.
I knew you was going to
No.
say that.
And in respect for her, Damon, I am drinking ginger ale today just
Oh,
because I told her
I'm drinking orange juice.
orange juice. So we're keeping it real good today, okay? But welcome to Champagne and Conversations anyway. And you walked in at a great time because we were just talking about what would you tell your younger self? And this was a question for you. So I would love to know.
Don't trust dudes at all. Invest everything in women.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That will be all for the evening.
Right.
Seriously, now bring the champagne. Let's go.
That it, all my younger self is my children, and that's what I tell my men children is like, don't put too much stock in dudes, bro. And I want them to. What I had to understand, what I understand now, what I'm very clear about, and I was telling Jocko this earlier, is that physical things mean nothing. The most valuable things are feelings. It's love. And that's the currency that we should all be chasing, but we're programmed to think that we should be following man-made things. Anything man-made could never be better than something God made.
Man.
And, God made love. And that's the bank account that I want full. So, I would explain to my younger self, number one, what future can you have with another dude? Period. You can't create a life with him. So you should invest in something that has the ability to create life. It's the most God-like, and that is a woman, period. And our job as men is to make sure a woman can do what she is naturally doing, giving life and nurturing,
Yeah.
stress-free, unobstructed. And that's my job. And as long as I make that my first priority, the rest of my life will fall into play.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I've learned is when I do things that's better for my family, mostly life yields better. I have more profit in love.
Mm-hmm.
And the test is, will you choose the currency of money to be away from your child, or the currency of love to be with your child? And what currency does your child care about more? They have no concept of money until it's taught to them by a man. But love, they know from the second they lay eyes on you. There's a feeling and a connection that trumps everything, that should be protected more than anything.
I love that.
But it would take going through a lot, experiencing a lot, living life at every single level so you know that you haven't missed anything.
Right.
For most people to know that at the end of the day, you feel the best when you're around love.
Yeah. And you know, it was so funny, Dame. April is in the chat. Mother Love, Constance is in the chat.
Of course, the OSC gang is there. If I say the wrong thing, they might jump me. So I better say the right thing. You ever got love jump? If you're saying the wrong thing, love jumps you. Like, yo, that's not about love.
Look, Deputy asked you, but what I was saying, like, this was a community, and this was an amazing opportunity for us to grow in a time when we were uncertain around what was really going to happen. This is an example of a prayer and a push, and Dame knows how to push.
I can tell you this. I've been in a lot of crews in a lot of different circumstances, from the street to music, but this is the strongest crew I've ever been a part of.
Okay.
Because I've never seen a crew that protects each other with love.
Yeah.
Not even financial, because everyone's individually doing all right. They've earned it.
Sure.
You get around people that are very secure about who they are, then it's really easy to teach and to learn, And this is a crew of very intelligent intellectuals that have swag, that never come across as acting like they're better than anybody, no matter who they are, and that only do it for children. How could you not feel safe in an environment where you see people doing it when they don't even think nobody's watching? They don't even do it for credit. Right. This whole crew there's nothing about this crew that's new, other than they're together and I'm making sure everybody knows who they are.
Yeah.
But I know how to make everybody know who a rapper is. I know how to make everybody know who a movie star is, a designer. Of course, I'm going to let the world know and leverage my celebrity for the superheroes that are fighting for our culture, not for money, but for love.
Sure.
They don't even want no money. I got to convince them to make money.
I know. I talked to her. That's what I asked Anisha last evening when we talked. And with that being said, it goes into the question that I had, because you are able to identify the it factor, and you've been doing that so well with all of the celebs that we know, hip hop and movie and what have you. You've been able to identify the best of the best. How do you relate that to now that you've tapped into the love factor and you're looking at this group as the nuances, the new, fresh, innovative crew? Is there a correlation at all? Do you see something that is the same?
There's nothing the same. Okay. You know why? Because this crew cares more about other people than themselves.
Okay.
Every artist I've ever worked with only has the ability to look out for themselves, and they don't care how it makes anyone else feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the difference is I'm looking at the people that have become great, that I've assisted, and I'm looking at the qualities of the human being and what they could do for other human beings. These guys are light years away, light years ahead. It's not even I've never, you got to think about being around a group of smart and intelligent people and being able to have a cohesive, coherent conversation. I'm usually talking to people. That's why I smoke weed, because people usually cannot catch what I'm saying. And they can't accept a different approach because they're programmed into doing something one way, which usually makes them unhappy. Sure. But they have fear, which stops them. These people, regardless to the fear, have done it the way that it's almost impossible for someone without an attention span to get to, for someone that's not inspired to pay attention. They did it the traditional way, and I want them to get recognized for that, but also they're doing it the independent way, where they can also teach not only how to get a job, but they could also teach how to be an entrepreneur. Also, it's important to learn how to dream, because that's the first thing they take from us is our dreams. Once someone tells you how to live and tells you if you don't live this way, you're wrong, then they've killed your ability to dream. Because there is no structure in a dream.
Hello?
Yeah, I thought I was trying to say something.
Okay,
No,
there we are. It
there
cut
you
out
go.
a little bit.
Yeah, so there is no structure in a dream. So when somebody says, look, if you don't work a 9 to 5, if you don't go to school, if you don't do this 8 hours a day, sit behind a desk while the sun's out, you're doing something wrong. How can you even think about dreaming?
We just had that conversation about dreaming. Now, some of it cut out. So I want to go back to, Anisha, you're muted. But I want to go back to that for the dreaming part of it. From a dreaming perspective, if we miss that, what do you feel would limit a dream or dreaming? Do you have like any kind of thoughts on where that may stop for, like young people? We have a dream, we have goals, we have aspirations,
The
and then
problem is
somewhere.
the usual dream for the average person that is economically compromised is survival. You dream about paying bills.
I
You
said
dream
that, like
about
the
eating.
life.
It's
Yeah.
checkers, not chess. But a dream is a future memory. That's how far in advance you have to be
Wow.
with it. You understand what I'm saying? So when I'm architecting my future, I'm thinking about what it's going to feel like when my future becomes my past. How will I reflect? So I'm thinking about my future. Once my future happens, that becomes my present. Further on the line, that actual thing that's happened becomes my memory of it.
Oh
What is
wow.
my
Did you see where he just took us with that? That's now we didn't go that deep, but you just took us beyond that. Okay, so you're saying you've already accepted it's manifested. You've accepted the fact that it's happened. You've lived it and now you're looking back on it like in the rocking chair
That's
saying,
how far in the future I am. I look past what I want to happen. I look into how I'm going to remember it happening
wow.
and how everybody else, because that's what it is. Your present becomes a memory in a second.
That's so dope. Now, congratulations on your new venture, which is your sneaker line. I did see that you put that up, and I wanted to find out your inspiration for that. I mean, I know that I could make an assumption, but because you are who you are, I want to make certain that we are clear on the aspiration that you have for that, for your project with the sneakers.
There were two things. One was, I don't know if you know or remember, I had the first sneaker. I had the CEO with Nike, and then I had Pro Keds. So I understand that business, but I didn't want to approach anything that I had been doing before until I could do it completely independent without feeling exploited.
Okay.
So Jaclaire is an old brand that has lineage, and Willie Esco, I don't know if you know who that is, acquired the brand. It used to be actually a Jewish brand. And I wanted to do something that re-engineered, how they usually buy our brand when we get distressed and then they make the money different way. So number one, the situation is perfect for me. Perfect for me. But then number two, there's a void in the marketplace for sneakers that were there that are not now. And the void is for them to now be fulfilled in a way where we benefit, where it's an example of us being independent, not blaming anybody for anything and showcasing that we could do it on our own. I blames nobody for my destiny but me. If I know a car's coming to hit me, then I know not to cross that street in that moment. I'm not going to blame that car for hitting me.
Yeah.
I know the detour that keeps me safe. It's a little more work, but I've done the work. What I was explaining to Jocko is the thing she's doing now. She can do it and not even worry about taking a loss, because usually when you start a business, you wait 5 years to 10 to make money. 5 to break even, 10 to be a brand forever.
Right.
What she's been doing for the last 10, 20 years has been building her brand helping kids, being the principal, helping other people, adults, all of it. You know, her clubhouses, everything. She deserves, and if someone looks under the hood, they know that she is legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's teaching school and in like 2 different schools at the same time. You know, I'm having this issue with college because I put my daughter through college. It costs $250,000 cash. And I'm still going to have to give her a job, or at least the family business.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, what's the purpose of this? Unless you know or have a purpose, unless you know why you're there. So I'm telling my son right now, if you're going to go to college and I'm going to pay for it, you're going to have to give me just as much respect as you give your professor. You're not going to listen to somebody you don't know that we pay over someone that loves you. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to do it that way, but I'm giving you homework. And I need 8 hours of your day to study and to invest in your dreams. And when I put out a product, because, you know, families sometimes have a detachment from the product. Like,
Yeah.
they don't realize that product's making the money. And I'm like, I don't see you promoting it like it's yours.
The kids
You're
are just
benefiting
entitled.
from it.
They're on a whole nother level.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm gonna start hitting them like it's the street. Here's 100 sneakers. That's how you paying for something. You feel me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with some work.
Yeah.
You're gonna earn that. You're not gonna just say the business is bad, the bills still need to be paid, and you're not gonna help.
I don't know why they don't want to. We were so into that. We would have loved for our families to build business at that time. For those that had them, I mean, we had corner stores, you know, parents ran those things, or, you know, whatever it was, but, you know, not as much business as we have now, things that you are really excited about. And these kids look it off like, just cut my check, just give me my stuff. I don't want to.
Second generation is the hardest generation to teach.
I think we did that. I think we made it too comfortable for them.
That's what I'm saying, you know, and that's what you want to do. You don't want to make it too comfortable, but you don't want the people you love to have to feel the same pain that you felt, just so, you know, they can learn. If I'm going to go through the pain, it ain't no reason for you to. But I would rather you understand that, you know, I did go through some pain. And out of appreciation, I don't want to hear thank you. The action is always the thank you.
Yeah. And the
words
respect.
Without action is always manipulation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the respect part is necessary in order to be able to feel like there is some sort of cohesiveness. You're learning, you respect the fact that you're in this space, and you don't have to make those same mistakes. I don't know that they get that. I think that they look past it and think nothing's going to happen to me. They don't even have the same survival skills that we did as young people. So
most people learn from pain. So the lack of it can be a gift and a curse. But the trick is to teach somebody to learn from your pain. You know, I don't know how to do it, but I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, I heard that yesterday, where they were saying that I'm going to free myself from no longer allowing my pain to fuel my decisions. And I think that's huge, because when you give yourself the opportunity to live in your truth, which we were kind of talking about phrases that are like cliche, live in your truth, it gives you that opportunity to like let that stuff go and not hold on to it, so that you can love in a safe space, so that you can give it and do that transactional exchange that we love so much and transform. So, you know, like pardon me, but I'm all in this book. I've been from front to back. I've got the pages turned back. We got highlighters in here. And so I love it though. I mean, from, you know, just talking about that transfer and that transactional situation and being able to exchange, it's important. And I think we've learned a lot through our time home with the pandemic, and, you know, everyone had to kind of shift. And of course, from you, Dame, you would be able to recognize that people that were so into who they were, you know, weren't aware of whose they were, and being able to be in that space to tap into, you know, this core right here and figuring it all out. So once all of that other stuff kind of went out the window, where that didn't matter and this didn't matter anymore, now you have to really come center with that favorite word of ours, alignment,
Alignment.
and being
Yeah.
able to figure that part out. So I think that that's what you really feel now, is that alignment, that you finally connected with the genius and the
Mhm.
geniuses and those bright folks that can lead the pathway, and for those that will kind of connect,
I mean,
But
I
especially
feel
your
like I've
baby
been
boy.
putting the bat signal out for it for years. I've been asking for it, but
And now
yeah.
you finally got it.
you got to be patient. But if you have the
Look at
same
that.
message, eventually somebody will catch your signal.
But
How long was
Dame,
that?
I was
20
in, but
years?
I was in class on a Saturday, Dame, and just me saying, I'll hop on. That's how we met, Dame. And she sent me a message. She said, I purchased your book. And I said, well, then let's go. And so this is how this came up.
Yeah.
We just met.
And we were on the
But
phone for an hour last
right.
evening talking. And it
But
was
I
one of
want to
those
say
things.
thank you for purchasing my book, Audacity to Speak. And Dame,
Absolutely.
thank you for creating ways for people to be able to find us to be able to do that. So you
Well,
all are a byproduct.
Jocko has this thing because she's family and she knows no matter what, whatever she's doing, I'll show up, no matter where it's at, because she would never be doing anything that wasn't productive and helping. And also because she's helped my family so much, she is
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So, if she says show up, I know that the person I'm showing up with is about something. And as I've got here, I'm like, yes, she is about something. And hopefully we can figure out how to do more things together.
Absolutely.
The good thing about Jocko's book is that it's now opening the doors for her and myself to actually teach a curriculum.
Absolutely.
Because,
And tour. You got a tour with this.
and thank you.
Yeah, you got a tour with
Dan,
this.
I think you've heard that one before, right, Jocko?
Yeah.
And we need,
So
and we need a series.
I'm glad she's saying it.
We're
And
already on book 2. We're on series.
book 2, documentary, curriculum, eventually
TED
a
Talk.
movie, all of that. And she's
that.
also, she doesn't tell you, but she's like, come here, Rocky. She's also a director of children's programming.
Yes, she told me. We talked about Applefish. We had it already. Hi, Rocky. How are you?
I'm so
Good
good.
to
How are
see
you?
Yes, I've seen you on so many of the social media lives, but we haven't been able to say hi directly. But yes, love to you. Hi to you. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. All that good stuff.
Happy New Year to you.
Jocko's like our filter. A lot of people try to get at us, but we don't know exactly who's 100. But if you could get past the Jocko test, I'm about to relaunch our network and streaming platform with a whole new face. I think I'm gonna change the name. We're gonna do America New. We're gonna call the name America New Network. I don't think it should have to be so mean. But I'm going through, I'm going through every
Like the new revolt.
It's not like the new revolt. It's like, because the problem with television right now is when I talk to the distributors like a Comcast or a what do you call that? Whoever, all these different people. I've been in every room, Viacom, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is they always say because I'm a black owner that it's a black network, and I'm like, so it can't be for human beings, And then they always compare me to Oprah, Puff, and whoever other else black has done it. I'm like, the only thing we have in common is the color of our skin, but the networks are different. But what makes you think a black man can't be the boss of white people too? You know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I make programming that's not only for black people? Why can't it be programming for human beings? Why do they think, or why would they try to continue to put us in a box so that we are only the boss of our own color, or we're the only leader of our own culture?
Or assume that, yeah, because
literally they put me in a box every time. Like, just because I'm a black owner, it's a black network. Do you call it a white network because of the white owner? No. So I want you to, and don't think because I'm not good for just black. I'm better than you, all of y'all. I'm more taste, better content. Don't ever just say, oh, he good for black. Nah, I'm good for human.
Everyone. Yeah. Entertainment. I'm good for entertainment.
Entertainment,
and
for
education.
sure.
Yeah, I'm good for
I'm good
entertainment.
for focus and
Period.
deprogramming. Because right now we're programming to see patterns that
Yeah.
don't behoove us. We never see visuals of us winning. We always see visuals of us getting robbed. Right? So what we want to showcase
23.
now, we want us to be able to see what it looks like when we're winning, because no one even knows what that looks like.
Yeah.
If you talk to 3 different people, right? I'm gonna ask you a deep question. First, I'm gonna ask Jocko.
Yeah. But good. I can have time to think.
I'll give you some time.
Like a pop quiz.
Jocko, what does
Yes.
heaven look like to you?
Happiness. Say it again?
Not what does heaven feel like. What does heaven look like? I'm sure there's sleep in heaven. You got to get some rest. When you wake up in the morning in heaven till you go to sleep in heaven, what is that experience going to be?
I have never been asked that question.
Exactly. Nobody even knows what heaven's supposed. I know, because I don't go, no disrespect, but it's hard for me to listen to people for hours at a time. So church has never been a great fit for me. But if heaven was for me to go to church every day, all day, that'd be like hell for me. You feel me? If you love partying and you're a good person, heaven might look like a party, but just not messed up things going on. If you love being in water, heaven might look like a cruise forever.
Say it looks like the Calm app to me.
But
Yeah.
some people might hate cruises, so it might be everybody's heaven is different, and our job is to hustle past the tombstone. You have to create your heaven on earth so you know what you're transitioning to. But most people don't even know what heaven looks like for them. All right, I'm gonna ask you, what's heaven look like for you? Because she was stumped. What's
I
heaven look
said
like
it
for
looks
you?
like the Calm app.
Nah, that's a feeling. When you wake up, you're not gonna live in digital. What does your life look like?
Well, I'm saying, okay, so I'm very much an earth sign. So I love water. So I love land and water. So I see waterfalls and I see like beaches and I
When you
see
wake
like
up in the morning, are you
sunshine.
gonna just look at a waterfall, or what would you be doing in heaven every
That's
day
it.
for the rest of infinity?
Put my feet in the water, checking on the people that I have to watch over as an angel, walk in the water. Hopefully they have coffee because I'm gonna need that. And then
If it's heaven, coffee should be.
and
Wait,
so I'm
time
gonna
out.
have
Wait.
that.
You know what heaven is? Heaven is a dream.
Heaven is a dream.
So if you don't know what your dream is, you might be putting yourself in hell.
Now we talked about the dream part because now from a site.
But now you're making your dream. The way I live now, that I'm enjoying, is how I want to feel forever, unless it's better than this. So I have to construct heaven here, so that when I get to a different place, I'll be like, this ain't heaven. I got to know where I'm going.
That's a good place to be at the end of the year. We need to put that down. You really have to start to decide where heaven is for you so that you can know what you're working
You got to make heaven your reality and now. Why not? Why wouldn't you bring heaven to life now? I don't need to fly around. I don't need wings on my back. I just want the things that I love, and I'm going to earn it forever. That's what I love. I love love.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be dancing in heaven. I hope that it got to be weed in heaven. You feel me? Because I love it so much.
You can grow it, I guess, if you don't have it there. You can grow it.
The Anunnaki brought it. It gotta be weed in heaven, or I might not. It'd be like going to. I'm not going to Dubai because you can't smoke.
Oh yeah, definitely cannot go to Dubai.
That's a great takeaway.
It can't be any rules in heaven as long as it comes from a good place. But you gotta know what your heaven is, and then you'll know what your purpose is.
You have to know what your heaven is, what your purpose is. That's a good one, Jocko. We got to write that. We got to expand on that.
She does. She takes she jots it all down. She got it.
Look,
I was gonna say I need you to do the notes because I can't do the notes and
look. I got 2 pages of notes.
But I want everyone to do your homework and decide what your heaven is for 22 so that you get into 23. Now, obviously, Dame, you're not one that really goes into like New Year's resolutions. I don't get that you really get into that, right?
I do New Year's resolutions, but it's in the form of a business plan. My
Oh,
resolution is to make this much money, to do this much with my business, this how much I got to sell. That's what we're doing now. We're
okay.
putting together our vision board, our dream board, our New Year's resolutions, our business plan. You don't shoot a movie without a script.
That's right.
You got to look at life like a movie. You got to have a script or else it's going to be chaos on the set.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be dope to be in a vision board party with Dame. I can only imagine.
That's what we usually
That's
do.
what we used to do, actually. That's
But we're gonna have to
exactly,
do. I would love to be
yeah.
like even if it's on a Zoom like this, but I would love to be in a
This is
Zoom.
we did a class for 2 years
Yeah.
on Tuesdays where I basically was showing the principals how to dream for themselves. Because every time you ask a principal about a dream, they only dream about kids.
That's right. That's
You're
right.
like, yo, in order to help somebody, you got to be strong 100. So you got to
Right.
know how to help yourself so that when you do help other people, you're not hurting yourself. So what I'm seeing is these principals are giving their whole life to their kids and then they're
Yeah.
forgetting about themselves.
Yeah.
But then that's what you're teaching a kid to do. You got to teach somebody to get themselves right and then teach that to the kids.
Wow. That's major. And that's not just principals. That's in everything because I'm not a principal and I'm dealing with that. I think that when people were talking about getting past your fear, and I was really combating that thing, like, what do you mean get past your
Time
fear?
out. What is fear? I don't know what that word means.
So at first
I
I
just
didn't
playing.
think
That
I
was a
was
joke. It was a joke.
I didn't think that I was experiencing fear, Dame. To be honest, I didn't think so. But I think that COVID kind of stifled my movement and I went into like a bubble where I really started to shield myself, from like a coping mechanism. But I think that was it. So with that being said, it was like survival 2.0. It was like barely just doing things. So, like you just shared, when you're living for just surviving or living to just make it enough, you're not giving yourself what you need. So then you're just teaching like your kid to just survive.
Not
You're
having
not
time to be
doing that.
strategic about the future.
But one of the things that stood out to me, what Dame said to me, and it sticks with me now. If you have time to be sad and worried, that means you're not busy enough planning your dream.
If you're sitting around
First, we got
thinking,
to get back to
if you're sitting
dream.
around thinking, that means you're not doing.
Yeah.
If you need to lose weight and you're thinking about how much weight you got, that means you're not working out. But if you were working out, you wouldn't be worried about it because you already know that you're actually working toward making it better. You understand what I'm saying? Sitting around worrying means that's what you're doing, sitting around. The only thing that cures anxiety is action. Thinking about the problem
And prayer.
makes you feel terrible. If you're praying about the future and what the future should look like.
Yeah.
But if you're worried about the past, you're just manifesting an emotion that will not go away. And it hinders you. There's only a certain amount of real estate in your brain. We only have 8% of it that we're conscious of. What you're thinking about takes the real estate up in your brain. So if you're thinking about bad stuff and things that are bothering you, if you're not looking at how to learn from it, that's taking real estate from the good stuff, which is the things that you want to dream about having in the future.
That's good.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's good.
So
That's
what I'm
good,
hearing
Jim.
you say is, see, just from this moment, get your journal and then write. And that's how books, movies, songs, this is how all this happens. Because what I tell Dame and Rocky, and I love seeing Dusko there on the couch, like this is literally kingdom
Chilling.
building. And what he doesn't even know is that he's speaking scripture.
Well, look.
You see what I'm saying? So,
And you said you were going to go back and look at scripture.
right.
we'll
So
have to do-
he
You know
did
what I got?
Jeremiah, Isaiah.
These are paper tablets. But you know,
That Dusko's curriculum
nah, this is just these
That's
are
his work.
my thoughts for the day. I'm always writing.
for today.
Yeah.
How many pages is that? 15?
Infinity. I'm never gonna stop.
Infinity.
I can't
I love
stop having ideas. It drives my girl crazy. but she has a lot of ideas too. The thing about having a crew like OSG is accountability. If you have an idea, it is your now responsibility to make it into a tangible reality.
Yeah.
Don't even
Yeah.
talk to me about something unless you plan on doing it,
Yeah.
or else it's a waste of conversation.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a waste of conversation. Yes, Nisha and I were talking about that yesterday in terms of I started kingdom building in 20, and there were things that I put into the stirrups, but we didn't launch. And so it was kind of one of those things where I felt slightly defeated because certain things didn't take off. But she gave me
Just launch them later.
she gave me the comfort in saying I was kingdom building. So yeah, prayerfully we're headed that direction in 23.
We'll put that on paper
Yeah.
and put a timeline on it.
Trust me, I have quarters and figures and
Let me ask you a question.
yes.
How much EBITDA you want to make next year?
How much
EBITDA.
is that, dollars and cents?
EBITDA is how you base the evaluation of your company and what you sell it for. So
Okay.
EBITDA, just in simple layman's terms, is profit after taxes.
Profit after taxes, I would like to
Net,
make 10
not
million.
gross.
10 million.
So the question is, if you want to make 10 million, what do you have to sell tangible to make 10 million? How much will it cost? What will be your margin? And how much of it do you have to sell?
Yeah, and when we get off of this live, we will talk about it because we have it. We have it already lined up. Guys, not that we're taking away from you all, but I'd like for you all to know once we launch it. Not right now. Hi, baby Desco. How
Aw.
are you?
He's on.
And I think one of the things too to highlight, as we close, like this is an important time. They always sit down as a family, and eat. And so that's a really important feature of especially this relationship. So when you're architecting your time, understanding how your family comes first. And so I want to thank Rocky and Dame and Desco for being here and giving us a shout out. Because when we think about going into the new year, this is I can see amazing things happening.
And what Jocko knows is, because she stayed in my house, every night we sit down and eat at the table. No matter what.
It's all about the love.
Well, you have to look at other religions, right? Now, we were given a religion by our oppressor. I'm not going to get into that right now. But within our religion, we sit at a table Easter and Christmas. Other religions, they literally have to sit at a table every Friday, Saturday. And I was thinking about this today. I have friends that the religion is you can't touch your phone during a certain day. There's no way that rule was made up in Roman times or 1,000 years ago. There were no phones. So they just put that in that rule for religion. I'm curious to know what year they did it. But my point is, most religions are made for us to be brought together as a family connection. For some reason, the religion that's been handed to us, we only get to sit down twice a year. And that's where the fundamental problem is, I think.
Think about from the society perspective, but from the spiritual
If my
perspective,
oppressor gives me religion, I don't trust them.
yeah.
But what I suspect is there was a time when we ran shit. And we might not have done the best thing or whatever it was. But once that circle went, they were like, they will not remember how powerful they were. If they will not know that they were conquerors and kings and they started everything else, they won't even know their religion. They'll think that since the beginning of time, every direction we had was given from another culture. And because there's no representation of that, I know that it existed.
But I think now we're being more.
More. That's the key word. More.
Yeah, we're being more. That's good, Jocko.
But we Moors?
Look, he'll keep you on all night. Don't do it. Don't do it.
So leave us in 22 and take us into 23, and then we will end Champagne and Conversations for the year, and we'll look for 2.0 at the top of 23.
3.0. We're launching everything in Web3 now. The metaverse. Stay tuned.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an evening of Champagne and Conversations. We have Anisha Jocko with Audacity to Speak. So she left us with an amazing, amazing outlet for the end of the year. I encourage you guys to look at the website and go and get the book. It's an easy read, but it's so much information. As I said, we opened up with the power of conversation, and it's necessary. So we thank you guys for joining us. We had Damon Dash to join us. It's such an honor and a privilege to be able to celebrate. And even in the light that we love music and we love, oh, we can't go yet. We have to ask you about the music part. And that's just, Anisha, I need to know what music you love just listening to on a daily basis. You
It's
know,
supposed to be a soundtrack with the book, but I ain't gonna say nothing.
I gotta know, what kind of music do you listen to?
Oh my gosh. I listen to everything because, I told you I wanted to be a DJ. So I listened to some blends.
We didn't touch on that.
Yeah, Glenn.
I'll show you a tape of her performing at one of my shows at
Wow.
the bitter end.
What?
I don't even know how
need
that
that.
happened.
I need that. I need to post that.
We have that. I posted it.
I'm gonna go and repost it. But if it helps you out, I wanted to be a DJ too. So that's what I meant to say with you.
We gotta go on tour.
Oh no!
Anyone that puts a playlist together is a DJ?
I do it all the time. I actually had a little site on Spotify for a while, but yeah, I love music.
You are a DJ. You don't want to be one. You are.
That's one thing I put to rest. I'm not gonna do it now. But you couldn't tell me I wasn't one back in the day.
You have a playlist for your house?
Not so much. It just depends on the mood.
You have a playlist you have a playlist for your car?
I do. I have multiple.
So you're the DJ in your car. You're the DJ.
I DJ. Yeah.
You are a DJ.
I do DJ a lot.
People wait for people to give them titles.
Yeah.
Give yourself a title.
That's it.
Give yourself a title. Happy 2023.
More.
There you go.
No one ever hired me to be a CEO. I can tell you that.
But you're a CEO.
No one ever hired me to be a director. I can tell you that.
And you're a director.
No one ever hired me to run a record company.
And you ran.
I've never been hired. I've always given myself the title.
Yes. And you owned it. Yeah.
And my new title is superhero, Batman.
Okay.
Batman.
It has been an evening, and we so appreciate you, Anisha Jocko. Congratulations on your book, Audacity to Speak. Much success. We look forward to seeing your tour. Book 2, we look forward to seeing that. Of course, with your coach down here, Damon Dash, we know that it will be all of the success that we expect.
I'm about to fly off.
He's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Hang with us, and we'll take you out of here.
Deuces. All right, y'all.
Bye, Dave.